So Z of SI National Media as well, Z, on loan from the national media. Very, very kind for Will Z to join us here. Well, there is a lot to talk about. The Sacramento Kings win streak hit 7. Boy, your appearances here are a lot more fun than they were a couple weeks ago.
It's a good time.
Can we start with Keegan? We've been singing Keegan's praises today, and I know you wrote about him for your latest column, man. He has been terrific since returning from that foot injury issue, whatever kept him out a couple of days, man. He's been terrific in his return.
Yeah, he's been so good, and I think it really feels like the entire Kings roster is just kind of figuring things out, and roles are getting a little more defined. Maybe that would have happened under Mike Brown with just getting to this point in the season. We're almost at the halfway point. But looking at Keegan's numbers, like you guys have already touched on him, 54.5% shooting from beyond the arc in the last 3 games. But what stands out to me is that he is taking more threes and less twos. So if you look at his 2-point field goal attempts in the first 32 games, he was taking 5.4 per game. That's down to 3.7. And he's upped his 3-point attempts from 5.5 to 7.3. So he's focusing more on the 3-point shot. Total field goal stays about the same. But I don't think we're seeing him kind of being forced into that role of off the dribble shot creation that we all thought would be the next step and the next evolution to his game. It felt like they were really forcing that at the beginning of the year. Maybe that was coming from Mike Brown. Maybe it was him. Maybe I don't know who that was coming from, or if it was just me thinking that. But I don't think we're seeing that as much. So just more simplicity, which is everything Doug's been saying, is just simplify everything. And part of that probably trickles down to Keegan, where it's just go out, play defense, hit the threes. That's all we need you to do. And that, it feels like, along with him being healthy probably for the first time all season, maybe not fully healthy, but healthier, is really paying off well.
Yeah, I like that approach. I mean, everybody would love for Keegan to add, something to his game where, he can dribble off the bounce score off the bounce and do all that stuff. But that may not be where he's at. That may not be where he'll ever be. And sometimes you do have to simplify some things. Like, look, you're a great catch and shooter. Let that be your anchor. If people are closing out super hard, yeah, okay, now you get the one dribble, you attack the basket, whatever. But once again, you're in the league because you're a guy that can defend and a 6'9" guy that can shoot the three and space the floor. Get back to that. And maybe it was just as simple as that for him, getting back to basics a little bit.
Yeah, and you look at the type of threes he's getting too. Kenny, your favorite, the wide open three. First 32 games, he was getting 3.3 wide open threes per game. In the last 3 games, the last 4 games, that's up to 5 wide open threes a game. So a jump of 1.7, which is a pretty substantial amount. So you're getting almost 2 more wide open looks for Keegan per game over the last few. And he's hit those at a 55% clip, which is right in line with what he's shooting for the whole stretch. But that's all you can ask for, is generate more good looks and hit him at that type of percent.
Do you visually see anything different when you watch this Kings offense? Do you feel like when you watch them, this looks a little different than it did a couple of weeks ago?
It does feel like they're not stalling out as much on offense, I think, where they seem to have a better flow, more passes, which I think is good. More passes, more assists. So Damian, your favorite number, the 30 assist mark, they've hit that. I think 5.
5 of 8.
Pull it up.
Yep. Yeah,
5 of 8.
I took notes from your article. Yeah, in your tweet, 5 of 8.
And only 6 games over the first 31. So, which is a pretty wild number to be at 5 over 8 and 6 out of 31.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Give me that. That's my stat
all day long, man.
Give me that.
And it's a chicken or the egg thing. They're combined. You also see these point totals just kind of skyrocketing in the
Mhm.
last 7-8 games or something like that. And we were trying to figure out what that might be a testament to, but that could also just be, playing with pace, playing free, playing for each other. I've talked
Less
about
practice.
that's practice as well, right? Like
Mike Brown.
I looked at a play last night that just really stood out. It's like a second quarter play or something like that.
Mhm.
Malik Monk gets the offensive rebound, gets the ball, kicks out to Kevin Herter, who has a look at a shot. Like he could shoot it if he wanted to, but he made the extra pass to get a great shot for
Mhm.
Keegan Murray, who drained a wide open three, like we were talking about earlier. And it's just little stuff like that. Like keep that ball moving, which is where the assists come from. But always looking for a better shot than maybe you have, and looking for your teammates as well. And the assists go up, the point totals go up.
Yeah, and it's not just Keegan who's getting more of those wide open threes. I looked at numbers over the weekend, so they're a little outdated now with some games, but the team as a whole is getting more wide open looks. They're taking more threes. At the same time, on defense, they're limiting opponents' wide open threes in 3-point attempts. So really, they're doing it on both sides of the ball, just little bits of improvement that I think are really compounding on each other, and that's where you see games where you're able to not only outscore the Bulls, but games where you're able to play really good defense against the Celtics. And Kyle Madsen has been saying it a lot. Like they're winning in so many different ways again, which was one of their trademarks 2 years ago. The original Beam team is they could beat you by maybe getting to the free throw line 30 times a game or beat you in the restricted area, which is what they did last night. And I loved I keep saying last night. I had to delete. I normally do in my tweets like bonus tonight. I had to delete tonight and switch it today so many times.
Yeah.
But they
By the
just kept
way,
hacking.
I'm all for the 12:30 starts.
Oh, I loved it.
I'm all
great.
for the 12:30 starts.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was cool. It was cool. It was cool, but 7:30 around the corner too.
Oh,
no,
it's too
7:30 was
late.
Yeah, we already got the 7:30 game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't panic last night, which I thought was good too. The Bulls were hitting their threes, and they just kept attacking the paint. I think they shot 70% in the restricted area, and they didn't panic. They just kept with their game plan, and it paid off.
Is there one thing that you can point to, whether it be numbers wise or I guess eye test wise, that like this is a big reason that the Sacramento Kings are here? This is a big reason they're a game of above 500 and have won 7 straight.
I don't know. I think it really is just a lot of little things.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with
so
Doug.
many.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about a minute ago with Doug. Like, it's not like, okay, we're all searching for the reason, when in actuality, there's several. And, Chris Biederman was writing about, the practice schedule. And Chris Biederman also wrote about, the offense, how the offense has been simplified a little bit. It allows these guys to freestyle a little bit more. And it seems to just be a combination of things that are working really well. We talk about them playing free and loose and with joy. Feels like Doug is doing the same thing. I'm sure he's stressed all to hell because this is his opportunity to become a head coach, but he's not coaching like it. And I think one of the best examples, Casey, was the one you brought up earlier. And it's one that as soon as I saw it, I thought back to our Friday conversation. Keon in with that closing lineup until the 2-minute mark and Keegan coming in. Normally those swaps are made at like the 4 or 5 minute mark. Right. He let Keon roll all the way till that 2-minute mark when Keegan came back in to take over primary defensive duties of Zach LaVine.
It really does feel like Doug is doing his substitutions. Like you always say, coaches do it 2 ways, either on the clock or by feel. And it feels like he really does it by feel, which I think is probably the better way to go if I had to choose between the two. Especially when you have so many talented players, when you have 6 players that could potentially close out a game, to be able to just change it up as you need to and not have like the one set lineup in stone. Just go with what's working and be willing to make adjustments. Like, yeah, you don't see 2-minute substitutions in a close game very much.
One of the guys during this Doug Christie tenure that I think is kind of going under the radar, and it goes into some of the things that we talk about when trading guys, is Trey Lyles.
Mm.
In the 8 games since Doug Christie's become head coach, 9.3 points, 7 rebounds a night, shooting 43% from the field, 35%, excuse me, from beyond the arc. Pretty good as a bench player. He's doing it in 24 minutes. Like I would say that's solid bench production. I think a lot of people may be looking for 13, 14 points per game, like 6 minutes. Like that's not always
Just
what it
doesn't
is.
happen.
Yeah, like what he's been doing has been very vital for this team. And, is it simple as him just, kind of being in better shape?
I think so, part of it, and also I do like the matchups that they've had with him out there. They've been really good for that small ball lineup, where we haven't seen Len the last few games, where Trey just kind of everything works. Maybe it's something where they continue to go back and forth between the two, but I'm ready to really just roll with Lyles as the backup 5. I like that 5-out offense. It gets tough still when you have those really big backup bigs that Alex Len matches up well against. But Lyles, his rebounding, I think, is what stood out to me the most. Over his last few games, 8 rebounds, 11, 6, 9, 6, 7. Like he's grabbing a good amount of rebounds every night. And you see him battling inside. And that's really the weakness that you have when you go for that small ball lineup. But if he's able to be on the boards like that, as consistently, great. If he's making his threes, that's a bonus. But he's been so good at filling that void on the bench that they desperately need in that backup 4-5 between Keegan's and Sabonis.
Can we talk about that 11 for a second? That was Boston.
Mm-hmm.
That was 11 rebounds. 5 of them were offensive.
Yeah.
That second unit was really good. Because that was the Devin Carter game.
Yep.
Because Devin Carter has a game now. That was Devin Carter was really good against the Boston. I mean, if you're going to be really good against somebody, be good against the world champions.
Yep.
And I thought Carter and Trey, in addition to Keon, who was still in that starting role, but I thought Devin Carter and Trey Lyles were really, really good in that game against Boston, and those 5 offensive rebounds are huge.
Yeah. And then I know this is a little off topic, but before I run out of time, you guys, I loved the beginning of the show, how it was all like happy vibes, and then you guys just started fighting.
No, it wasn't you guys; it was these two.
I know
these two were, they were demanding championship now for the Kings, and I was like, man, I thought we were riding a 7-game win streak, and
oh man. But I've got some names to throw out for you guys, and Kenny, I think I'm with you, where I don't think they need a big change anymore. I don't think there's minutes to go around for someone like Cam Johnson, but some ideas to throw out. So I got 3. If I can remember the third one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Zaire Williams from the Nets fits with the Nets. Everyone's on the table. 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. What I am looking for when I go in and look who is like a bargain trade that they could possibly get, I want to look at the stats that the Kings staff knows and love. So deflections, steals, things that they are already doing schematically. Zaire Williams averaging 2.7 deflections per game. Lengthy, could fit right behind Keegan in that 3 and 4 spot. So someone like that I think would fit in really well because he would come off the bench pretty clearly. You can get him for, I think you can absorb him into the mid-level exception, so you don't have to send back equal money. He's making $6 million-ish. So you could do theoretically Zaire Williams for Colby Jones and whatever second-round picks it takes to get the job done. So someone like that, I think. And then 2 other names for some backup bigs. I've said it before in the chat. I'll say it again. I really like Drew Eubanks. I think his game is very similar to Sabonis's game, which we haven't seen the Kings have a big that can back up and play like Sabonis. That's why James, our Lord and Savior Mason Plumlee, has the
Yeah.
same type. That type of player you can just plug in and continue to play the same type. He can get up and get an alley-oop. He's deceivingly athletic, can pass and block shots. So someone like that. And then Kelly Olynyk as well. Another big, I think you could just plug and play. Him and Lyles on the court together, I think would be a really good backup big duo. But to me, that's the kind of player that I would be looking for on the trade deadline, is someone who is going to just come in off the bench, play hard. You're not looking for another 15-plus point scorer, I don't think, with this roster. They have plenty of those, in my opinion.
I like all three of those. I made a little face when you said Kelly Olynyk because you're not wrong. I just don't like watching this game.
I get it.
Oh, Kenny's going to boycott the Golden One Center if the Kings get Kelly Olynyk.
They're not wrong. He'd productive. He'd be great for the Kings. I think he'd work fantastic. I just don't like his game. It looks sloppy.
Yeah, I get that.
It's
Maybe is he the type of player who you like when he plays for you, but don't like when he's on the opposing team?
Could be. I like Zaire Williams a lot. I like that. I like that thought.
Yeah. But it'll be really interesting to see what they do now. I hope they do at least something. Don't just sit on your hands. And even if it's a small little move, I think there's still ways to improve the roster. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Great stuff, Will. We are tapped in. These visits are way more fun than they were just a couple of weeks ago, man.
So true.
7 straight wins for the Sacramento Kings. Will, we appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Where are you, by the way? Very strong, like Undertaker vibes. Like if that little bottom frame of the picture wasn't up there, it looked like you were in the Undertaker's coffin. Yep. There.
We switched some things around. So I am in the bedroom. We moved the Peloton out into the office and the desk into the bedroom.
Will's got a Peloton.
Where
he's rich.
Oh, I mean,
we got it actually for a friend. A friend gave it to their parents. They weren't using it, so we got it for $200, which is literally a steal for a Peloton. So moved that out and switched things around with Kennedy getting a little older, and me being on meetings and doing this. Just kind of needed closed and quiet space to do some work.
The Peloton, that's for the everyday workers. There's other stuff out there like the tonal joints, you know what I mean, and the cold tubs. That's for the rich people.
I don't even know what those are.
See, you're a jackass. You love the cold plunge. You can come over and
cold plunge. I wish I had a cold plunge.
You can't. But Will can.
I want
you would hate that. Yeah, you would absolutely hate that.
Feels so good.
I bet it would help.
Kelly
Olynyk. I know it would help. I don't want any part of it though.
Kelly Olynyk,
have you done the
cold plunge? I love it.
The sauna to cold plunge combo?
No, not yet. The sauna. I'm hoping to add the sauna after the backyard project is done because I want. I want.
Jesse,
that.
you hear this guy? This is crazy.
It's a little project, huh?
This is
a little something,
crazy.
something.
Wow.
What is your project after the sauna?
Enjoy it.
The plan to make gym memberships.
That's a good idea.
People come in there.
Good idea.
$25. Nah, it's a high. It's a high class one. So that's probably like a $75 a month membership. Come in there, getting the cold plunge, getting the sauna, getting the pool.
Can't use the pool though.
Oh damn!
Can't use
The
pool.
$150.
Well, $150 you can use the pool then. You can definitely use the pool.
Only till 4 p.m.
That's right. That's
closed.
right. That's right. You can get the hell out of my house. Okay, so we'll just move to the other part of the house. Is it cold in your house? Because you look like you are, like cutting firewood like right before you joined.
I was wearing a green sweatshirt that's about the color of this wall behind me. So I was like, I need a different jacket. And then I realized I'm also wearing a green shirt. So I needed some to offset. But we do keep the house pretty cold. I think we have it set at 64 throughout the day.
You're with you're my man. I do the same thing. Like when
Hold
the
and
heat
bundle up.
clicks on, I almost get an attitude like, how cold is it outside?
Yeah.
And I say, oh, it's 63 degrees. Like it's clicking.
Oh,
We appreciate you, Will. Thank you as always, my friend.
thanks, guys. Have a good one.